Welcome to the workshop. Thanks for coming in. And today's topic is about fear and how it can impede your trading performance.
hmm
And at the same time, how it can also lead to consistent losses. The question now is how can we, as traders, be able to overcome this emotion? Okay, so
hmm
firstly, let's discuss what fear is. So, what is your understanding of fear, Mandy?
It is, it's, for me, technically, it's a projection in the mind that certain things will happen, and I don't like those outcomes.
Okay, great. All right. So that's pretty good. Fear is simply an emotional response based on a fight or flight response um, that is coming from an experience in the past that creates now the perception in the form of reality and creates that form of reality within the present moment.
hmm
That's what fear is. So, in trading the markets, the reason being why a lot of retail traders will create some form of indicator or create some form of a system is to have the certainty of what the future can bring.
hmm
So that's what's simply why what traders really have a system.
hmm
And the reason being is because of this element where the future is unknown.
Yeah.
When something is unknown, it's an automatic reaction that just imagine if you are walking in a dark alley and you don't know what's ahead of you. So, but you can sense certain elements that it's not safe. Fear is also good because it's part of the intuitive process. It helps you not to walk towards that alley.
hmm
However, if the person is just oblivious and like, oh, whatever, walking through that dark alley and having in that state of fear, but still walks through it, knowing that there's a form of danger, what happens next? He gets robbed, he gets mobbed, and that's what happens. So trading the markets is no different compared to walking in a dark alley because the unknown is a dark forest. You just don't know what it is.
hmm
So when you have an experience of consistent losses in the past,
hmm
losing consistently, then that also creates the fear, hence fear of losing.
hmm
So what do traders or retail traders normally do, especially in retail trading where they're looking at two-dimensional chart? All they use is technical analysis, and that's basically it. Nothing else that would be able to support their claim in regards to entering the marketplace to create that probability.
hmm
Well, if a person is seeking certainty, why do people seek certainty? Because of the uncertainty of the future. But once the certainty has been established, it's too late. Hence, retail trading. So, what would be that component of certainty? Well, there could be a lot of different factors in regards to what a trader would utilize.
hmm
He will use different types of indicators, such as everything that you see fit here, from accumulation distribution all the way down to a zigzag indicator. Williams factor, Williams percent R, volume oscillator, and all these type of indicators.
Mm-hmm.
These indicators that are pre-calculated, they're all lagging, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Hence, they also disobey the rules of supply and demand, meaning that they're buying at supply, they sell at demand. Why? Because it's too late.
Correct.
So what happens now to the risk? The risk increases and the reward will decrease significantly. That's one. And then two, if the focus is about reward to risk ratio, well, I need to have a 2 or 3 to 1 to reward to risk ratio, but it's too late. So what happens to the reward? Reward is slim, the risk is bigger than the actual reward itself
Mm-hmm.
because of the position of where or the location of where they purchased or sold the price.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they're seeking certainty based on the emotion of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So the question now is, how can we overcome the fear element when trading?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the components do you think in order to overcome or eliminate fear? Yes, we cannot eliminate per se. However, if we're being aware of those emotions, so the question now is, how can we have more of the confidence to overcome fear? Because that's the antidote. The antidote of fear is confidence. When you have confidence,
Mm-hmm.
you won't have fear.
Yeah.
However, can we have conflict of fear and confidence? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because there's always two elements in terms of the human mind. You have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have a double split personality, whether you like it or not. Monkey mind says, hey, you gotta buy. Intuitive side says, no, don't buy. Now there's conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because there's the ego and there's the self. The ego is the righteousness aspect, where when the person is not aware of what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
in most cases, the ego controls the self. There's a really good book called The Power of Now by
Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his stuff because it is the universal truth. It is a fact. If you can get that concept
Mm-hmm.
in trading, you apply that in trading or in any area of your life, man, you'll see things in a different light. It just, and in my opinion, this is what trading is all about. A lot of traders, no offense if you're a novice or intermediate, their major focus is what? I want to win, 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 win. That's part of the expectation.
Correct.
So if they don't win, what happens? The expectation is no longer being met, so they will blame the market.
Mm-hmm.
If they're creating some form of education, goes on education, who they blame, they will blame the teacher or they'll blame the system.
Mm-hmm.
But once you are in a intermediate or advanced, it's no longer about the system, it's about the self. Because at the end of the day, you can have the most perfect system, but if you cannot execute, then what's the whole point of trading if you or having the perfect system if you cannot execute?
Agreed.
Right? So that is one of the major issues. So by the way, hey guys, how you doing? Hi Mandeep. Hi
Hey.
Salman. Welcome if you just joined us right now. How you doing, Jared? So that is the elements or factors that when you are trading, it is more about you as an individual on how you can overcome your inner demon, mainly like the fear and the ego component, the righteousness aspect, perception, giving your own opinion in the markets, and this is what we are part of. We had a really good discussion part of a group coaching class last week. Is simply that if you get rid of your expectations, your perceptions, whatever you perceive or what the market is basically what you think of the markets, you'll make money consistently. If you accept the markets of the way they are and you're reading objectively what the market is telling you based on price, everything is about price action and having enough evidence or facts based on the data that's given to you that creates the statistical component to create the probability, then you will win. Absolutely, 100% guaranteed. Why? Because we might love the markets, you might love the markets, I love the markets, but the markets doesn't care about you, doesn't care about me. It doesn't love you. It only loves its own self. But we have to accept it. This way we can do that in every area of our lives, from relationships, because everything is about relationships. You're in a relationship with the marketplace. The market is not a relationship with you, though. You and I are, right? And that's what creates the whole market. The only difference between that and in a relationship of your partners, wives, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, or whatnot, is because of two emotional components being attached to. The market is not attached to you, but if you're attached to the markets, this is where the word hoping will come into play. Well, I just hope it's going to go back up. No, man, if you start hoping, then you're screwed because you're now using the expectation of oneself that it's going to go to the way that you want it to. But what if it doesn't want to? Hence, the experience of losing consistently that creates now the fear that if you keep losing a lot, then you become fearful, and what happens now to the level of confidence? It depletes. So how can we gain confidence? Well, it's a very simple component. One is all about practice. Practice, you're entering trades. In my opinion, there's a big difference between demo trading and live trading. Demo trading, you can cheat as much as you want. It's like punching a bag. You can punch a bag numerous times, but the bag doesn't hit back. But when you start putting live trades and you follow your own set of rules and the rules of the system, then whatever end result, you see the result, win or lose. Oh, firstly, um, quick question for you guys. Mandeep, where do you think you're at when it comes to trading? Novice, intermediate, or advanced? Jared, where do you think you're at? Novice, intermediate, advanced. Salman, where do you think you're at? Novice, intermediate, advanced.
This is Mandeep. I believe I'm somewhere between novice and intermediate.
Okay, great. Thank you for your honesty. Jared?
I'd say advanced.
Advanced. And Salman? You can unmute your mic there, Salman, or you can type it in. So for me, even though I could say I'm advanced, I'm still simply I can learn from the markets all the time. The reason why I say that is because win or lose, we will learn something from it. And this is why if you put in a trade, most cases, if your focus is, oh man, I lost, and then you get irritated by it, you do not find the cause on why you lost. This is very important to know what caused you to lose. So it is mainly now the why, then follow that with a how. How can I improve now with that trade? That is from the development of practice. So when you can find that how, then you can be able to identify whether if you need more training, as I use the word training, mentally, physically, or technically. Those are the three conditions to be in a peak performance state. In my opinion, everything's about the mental game. So that's the foundation. And then you have the mind-body continuum, which is the physical component. You have a weak mind, you'll have a weak body. You have a strong mind, you have a strong body. Technical trading is actually very easy, especially in due course, in due time. It's like riding a bike. At the very beginning, I have an athlete, and I told him, I said, hey, you want to compete? There's a Stanford Spring Open that's going to happen then basically at the end of the month. So yeah, I don't know whether if I should. And you can tell that he's afraid. And I said, what are you fearful about? Well, I don't know whether if I'm unsure at this point in time. And I said, okay, what are you unsure of? Is are you unsure about your own ability, what you can do, or are you unsure whether if you're gonna get hurt or not? So there are different type of elements, right? And then I said, okay, when you learn how to ride a bike, were you afraid? I said, yes, I was. And then now that you can bike, are you afraid of riding a bike? I said, no. How about you riding your bike in the open road? And it is only 14, actually, not even, actually 11, sorry. And so in that element, he said, no, I'm not. I'm not afraid. Exactly. See, traders are also the same. At the very beginning, they're afraid because of the lack of knowledge, the lack of training. So when you enter more trades, that's why there's a great book, right, called the Performance, created by Cambridge University. And they discuss about performance. It definitely takes 10,000 hours to master a skill, and that is the average. To master one skill. And hence, if you're not practicing through your training component, and you're not training and you're not practicing, you won't be able to get to where you're gonna be at, right? So at this point in time, yes, I don't know how many hours I've done, 20, 30,000 hours of looking at charts. Do I still lose? Absolutely. The only time I lose is through my mental game. But if I no longer am in a meticulous state, not focused, and oh yeah, when you're in a fear state and the person is thinking about the future that doesn't exist, then it creates anxiousness, the anxiety component. So if I'm not following my own set of rules and I'm being impulsive, then that's where I'm going to lose. Getting overconfident as well, over trading, revenge trading, all this type of stuff. So everything's about the mental component. However, when I start to win, if I'm being meticulous, being focused, all these three components are one. Hence, that's why meditation is an important element when it comes to trading as well, because it releases all types of emotion. Mainly, it focuses on the awareness of thoughts, the awareness of self, the awareness of being. So once you can figure that out, is it on the mental component or is it a technical component? So which part now technically that I need to work on? Which do I need to work on mentally? And which part of physically that I need to work on? Oh, I didn't perform because I didn't eat. Oh, I didn't perform because I was too tired. When you're too tired, then it's very important to know to have the balance of not trading. Or else if you're just forcing to trade because you want to make money, then you're no longer trading for the right reasons. Does that make sense? Okay, so going through technically, it is imperative to know which parts of your technical analysis you need to work on. Maybe perhaps it is not about the system. Maybe perhaps you're going against a trend. You just don't know more about trends or things objectively. Maybe perhaps the risk management. Maybe perhaps money management. Right? Maybe perhaps knowing more about the whole global microeconomic connectivity of things. Maybe to go through more in terms of the micro fundamental component if you're trading stocks, knowing more about the actual company itself, supporting that with your technical analysis. Maybe you need to know more about supply and demand or about price action in general. Maybe you need to understand more what the indicators that you're using rather than perceiving that you're using the right tools, right? So these are the things that you need to work on. At the same time, people are fearful because of one thing too. You only can see 180 degrees that's in front of you based on your visual component. You can turn as fast as you can, but you can't see what's behind you. So if you don't have someone coaching you or giving you, being honest in terms of what they see fit, then you are at a disadvantage. Then you're just second guessing what you might be able to improve on. And hence you will go in a vicious cycle over and over again. Why? Because the subconscious mind is so smart that it will manipulate you that you think that you're doing the right thing, but in actual fact you're not. Unless someone or you, there's a form of your self-reflection, that's part of it as well. The self-reflection, you're open to the reflection of it, then this is where you can move forward. Other than that, it will go in the same motion. That's what we call the vicious cycle. You make money, you lose money. You make money, you lose money. Sometimes you're 3 steps ahead, then you go 5 steps back. Question is now why once again? Why? Because of belief system. Mentally, here is based on your beliefs and your own set of values. Perhaps your limiting beliefs are so strong that it's impeding your success when it comes to trading. Right? That's when once you're aware of those and that you're in line with your own values based on yourself, meaning the inner being, not the ego component. And once you're in alignment, then you will be able to go through with the flow with the markets. Hence, no longer resisting, not going against the flow of the marketplace. So regardless of what you trade, from the S&P all the way down to a currency or the euro dollar, a chart is a chart. Right? So in my opinion, it's not just the technical aspect. It is everything from mental, physical, and technical. They has to go hand in hand. So once you have all that and you're aware of it, then guess what happens to the element of fear? It dissipates. Why? Because if you are confident technically, because you're confident mentally and physically, if you're confident, then you will execute it with pure confidence, then there's no fear. However, that's on before executing to the execution within that moment. What happens now during? That is the challenge once again. Because if your plan says to go long, but the markets now start to go the other way, what emotions do traders normally face? One is the fear that, oh no, maybe perhaps starts to question whether if their plan is right or not. And now the lack of discipline, the lack of integrity gets now into place, and they start to micromanage the account because of the fear component of no longer being confident to follow the plan. However, if you're just 100% certain, let me give you as an example. Euro dollar, for example, it took 3 days, 1, 2, 3, to wait before the price went to where it's supposed to be. So if you can read price and still follow the plan and being patient, there's another element, the patience to wait. And as if you're confident, what will support your claim of being confident here too is about your risk management. If you say to yourself and you accept that losing is part of the game and you're willing to risk an X amount, then you got to live your trade no matter what. However, there's one thing though, there's one element that will overrule your trading rules. What is that element?
Sorry, what was the question again?
There is one element of the self that overrules your trading rules.
The ego?
No.
No.
The opposite, actually. So it's not the self component.
Fair.
No. So it overrules. When I say overrules, it's actually it's the.
Are you saying the intuition component?
Oh, very nice, very good, very nice, Mandy. Your intuition will overrule your trading rules. But if it no longer feels right, because deep down in your gut feel, or for me, it's in my heart. I know it's in my heart. If it starts to hurt, something is wrong, and my intuition never fails. Actually, it's been proven that your intuition never fails. Your intuition, the intuitive process is the sixth sense part of the modality is simply the being, which is now that's what you call human being. Human is part of the physiology, just five different types. The being component is the intuitive process. It is something that we can't explain, nobody can explain, but it's something that it just knows. Um, Part of the energy field out there, saying if we are all energy, and if we're also part of the universe, intuitively, that energy component that is in alignment with the universe never fails you. That's why if you feel that it doesn't matter whether, like, say, for example, right now, you're making money right here, you're in a profit, and intuitively you're like, oh, I think I better get out. Something is up. Maybe tomorrow it feels like it's going to fail tomorrow. Then you have to follow that intuition, close your position even before it actually stops you out. Sometimes you have to get out, right? Because your intuition already tells you. Hence the phrase, when in doubt, stay out, or cut your losses short and let your profits run. That's where you cut your losses short when you intuitively, it's no longer within the element of what you see fit based on your intuitive process, you got to get out. Right? Intuition is developed through the mental training, through meditation, and not letting any form of energy field affecting you, meaning any form of emotion, negative emotion like fear, irritation, sadness, and so forth. Those are blockages from the self. So that's why if you can be aware of those, you can get rid of those. Well, you can't really get rid of it. You can just be aware, acknowledge it, and then go back to the state of who you are supposed to be in terms of your beingness. Then the intuitive process will follow. Okay, that's part of meditation, right? So intuition will always overrule your trading rules. And this is my part of risk management, that if you do accept, okay, based on the probability I've created from this trade, I'm willing to lose 1%, 3%, 5%, 10%. So having a maximum risk tolerance, and if you can accept that, then you will live your trade to where it's supposed to be until it reaches your T1, T2, and T3. That's if you have the 3 different target points, 4 different target points, and so forth. All right, so that's the risk component in conjunction with your money management component. Any questions so far there, Jared, Salman, and Mandeep?
No.
So does it make sense there?
Yeah.
All good here. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so in your area of trading there, Mandeep, which part of these 3 conditions you believe you need more training in order for you to practice to be a better trader?
At this juncture, it's mental. The technical components, like I said earlier, I've been able to figure out through long self-testing and observation.
Nice.
And now it's a matter of trusting it and following through.
Excellent. Very nice. Okay. Is it okay if I take that case there with you there, Mandy? So mental, and I will take the technical here, and then we have physical here. So technical, if you're gonna rate yourself out of 10, where do you think we're at technically there, Mandy?
Sorry, you were faint. Would you repeat that, please?
Based on your technical skills, if you rate yourself out of 10, where do you think you're at?
I would say I'm at 7.
All right, so you have a 7. So there's a deficit of 3. And mentally, or if out of 10, where do you think you're at mentally?
I'm probably at 3.
3, okay. And there's a deficit of 7. All righty. So notice that technically, if you are confident technically, and mentally, you should also be on a 7 or more. Then they will go hand in hand, right?
Mhm.
It's just a normal connection.
Mhm.
However, mentally, there's a deficit of 7 because mentally it's 3 compared to the 7. So therefore, you have conflict.
Mhm.
Conflict in regards to your confidence to self, or will be connected to technical
Correct.
conflict there. So the
Yeah.
question now is, how can you be confident with yourself and at the same time be confident with your technical skills?
Okay. My largest, my key conflict situation comes from not honoring my stops,
Got it.
and so therefore that fear continues. That's where I picked up the larger losses.
Got it.
And so, will I actually follow through on what I know technically? That's one big thing there.
Yeah. Huh. Perfect. You said it. You said it best. Actually, you do know. So, not honoring or not follow through, not following through. It's a type of value or characteristic in trading. What we call integrity. Integrity simply means that if you say you're going to do it, make sure you do what you say. So in other words, there has to be a follow through to honor what you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then this is what happens is the lack of, and it goes in a spiral motion.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's no integrity, then there's no commitment.
Mm-hmm.
There's no commitment, there's no motivation. There's no motivation, there's no passion, there's no desire. So it goes through in a spiral component. And all of a sudden, when you have that, it will lead now to from a positive emotional state, heading now to a negative emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you know what you know now, then it is imperative now for you to meditate on it. So what causes for you not to follow through? Where else in your life that is currently happening that also goes through in terms of not honoring your word or not following through your things, right? Because if it happens in one thing in trading, it will also happen in also any area of your life. So also finding that out, where did it start? How old were you when it began? So if you can find the root cause, then becomes simple there, and then to change that belief system. And when you can change the belief system, and you can practice by honoring my stop. I will put my stop loss. I am not going to touch it unless, of course, intuitively that I don't really feel good about it because the market is going to happen, something's going to happen, it's going to drop, I'm out, right? Other than that, having that awareness, once you start having that level of awareness, then things will change in regards to your results from a mental to technical component. Guarantee, it's a big G word, but I guarantee you it will change. Your result will basically change because you have now that awareness. The awareness of thought, because everything is thought. The question is, where's that thought process coming from that creates that emotion? Normally happens from the past. It always comes from the past experiences that creates the present belief system of what's happening right now. The future doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist either. Everything happens here. So if everything happens here, then what is it that creates that element of negativity or fear or the positivity of love or confidence? Everything comes from an emotional component that stems from a thought that's based in the past that creates who we are as an individual.
Mhm.
So here's a really good exercise. I want you to ponder upon that in regards to this question. Who are you? I'm not here to ask you in regards to your characteristics, in regards to, well, I'm a father of two, I'm a data scientist, I'm a physicist. No, that's a label of you. The question is, who are you based on a being component? Being meaning that if that's you, if this is us, and your skin is just a host, then who is that internal component that's keeping you alive, that makes you who you are as an individual? That's where I'm coming from. If you can define that, you can answer that. I would actually be curious. So email it to me in regards to
I mean, for my spiritual practice, I see myself as an observer. That's about it. And
observer of what though, Mandeep? If we are all observers,
observer of my experience. That's all.
observer of the experience, that I love that component too, because it's what Tully says as well, right? We are observers. Observers of what? Of experiences, but at the same time, if we observe based on experiences, but what still defines us of who we are as an individual, that becomes observers. That's now where you're going up to a deeper level once again. So that's why if we can define that, and you define yourself in conjunction to be a part of you is trading, and a part of you is trading, a part of you is in a relationship with your partners and so forth, your sport, your business, your career, then you're the central hub, and you can define you, and regardless of what you do, then that's who you are, right? So if we are very powerful individuals, people will give their power to others, and hence people will feel self-conscious. People will feel or will have the validation. I need to be validated. That's why also in trading, I need to be validated by having the certainty through waiting. No, you don't have to wait. If you know that you're confident in your abilities, because price is at demand is a part of the law, if you believe that, then you don't have to wait. You just have to enter because that's part of the law. Law of supply and demand. You have to buy at demand, you have to sell at supply, period. Nothing else. It's just a matter of knowing the location of price of where institutions are buying at a wholesale price at a level of demand, likewise at a level of supply. Of course, that takes practice once again, technically, to define those. Now, if I believe that surely based on that belief system, mentally and technically, then I will execute the trade with no fear. Why? Because my risk is so small, and if it's simply the law of supply and demand, and it should be it, then it should be it. Likewise, for my, I call it the sequential transition system. It's a law that the markets goes via in sequence. So if that is the sequence, then the next part of the sequence should be X. Probably there's also potentiality of change of Y, but it has to be X. So if I totally believe that, and I'm purely confident in that, then I have no fear that I will execute the trade. Simple as that, right? Why? Because that confidence is based off who I am. You know, a person with lack of confidence, people who have low self-esteem, if you ask them, where did your confidence go? They will say, I don't know. Exactly my point, because when we are young, when we're born, we are entitled to have all these values and principles within the inner self. It is simply when we grow and part of from birth to where we are now. So for me, for example, 46 years old, I'm 46. So part of my experience of 46, if in the beginning, if I am entitled, part of my worthiness is when I was born is I have all these values and principles such as love, confidence, motivation, so forth. Then what happened in the timeline when there was a point of lack of confidence? This timeline is when maybe an incident in the past when I lost money or when I lost in a competition or when someone told me you're a loser and I believe that to be true. All these things creates, and all of a sudden the confidence that used to be at the top has been suppressed to the bottom. That's why there's no confidence involved. Why did that happen? Is because on a conscious or subconscious level, we believe it to be true. That's what normally happens. And then if you believe that, hey, you know what, that's not me. I'm a person of pure confidence, and it's up to me now to unleash, to recover that level of confidence and to resurface it back up to where it's at. That's what happens in terms of our values and principles. Like in your case, for example, Mandeep, your level of integrity has been impeded somewhere along the lines because of what happened to you in the past. It's now up to you to unleash your level of integrity to get back up in there. And once you have that, I guarantee you, you will have the pure confidence with your technical skills and your mental skills. And you will execute that physically. Physical is simply using your body to enter the trade, whether you like it or not. Because when people make excuses, for me, I do not tolerate when people make excuses. Excuses are reasons why not to. Everything is all about making choices. Either you press that freaking button or you don't press that button. So the question is, if you are not pressing that button because you're making reasons why not to, then definitely, maybe perhaps you need more training. You need more coaching. But if you already have everything in terms of the data and creating the probability, and that's what technical analysis is to forecast future price movement using past and present price action or price movement to create the statistical data to create the probability of winning. So if you can have all the pieces of information that create the probability of winning, and if the probability of winning is giving you 80 or 90% and you're not executing, that's just a reason why not to. It's a self-sabotaging mechanism. The question is now why? And from that why is to create that how. And when you create that how and you find the root cause, why? Because of the 180 degrees that you don't know that you experienced in the past that led you to where you're at. That's why, in my opinion, I believe in coaching. If you're not getting coached, you're going to get to your level, to where you want to be a bit more longer. Self-reflection, in my opinion, is not enough. You need somebody to go through your deficits and tell you, said, hey, you need this. You know what? It is part of your learning. You have to go through more of this. You need to do this. You need to do that. It's just part of it. Or else, if you're not willing to learn and not open-minded to learn, then what's the whole point of doing things? That's why, in my opinion, trading is not for everybody. To a certain point, to a certain degree, they will quit. And when they quit, either they quit because of the confidence component, the lack of persistency, because of the fear of keep on losing. So that's why they will quit. Why? Because of the lack of open-mindedness as well, to learn about the self. Well, in my opinion, philosophically wise, everything has its own time. I believe in everybody has their own journey. That's why for me, I don't push people. Why? Because it's their journey. At the end of the day, if they choose to, they will find a way to make it work. If they choose not to, then so be it. Who am I to judge or to criticize a person? I'm not judging them. It's just their journey. I'm being honest with them. I will tell you exactly what you need to work on, but it's up to you to work on it. Why? Because I cannot work for you. I cannot control the other person. The other person can control their own selves. I can only control what I can do, and I can control based on what I would be able to teach or to mentor, to give a feedback with the deficit. My job is to work on the deficit component on what you need to work on in order to be a better trader, mentally and physically. Do I have my own inner demons? Absolutely. We all have our own inner demons. We keep on working on it. For me, that's why I love teaching, not just in trading, but also in sports. Why? Because I believe this the same. The same is because of the self. It's just different manifestation using different tools to work on oneself. That's basically it. Right? So do you have any questions? I'm sorry, I love this sort of stuff and I can just keep on talking. So if you have any questions, please feel free. Deepak, welcome. If you came in late, this is basically a discussion about what causes fear and how we'd be able to overcome them. Because fear is the major emotion during, before, during, after is regret. That's what we dwell upon it. Right? If only I did this, or only do that, then I would have done that. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Mandeep, for sharing that. So, Jared, do you have any questions? Deepak, do you have any questions? Salman, do you have any
Hi, Reynaldo. Yeah, Deepak here. Sorry, I couldn't join at 10 o'clock, but I joined late.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, I did hear part of the conversation. Yeah, and then, of course, fear is an emotion. I completely agree with what you said about that. It's within you. You have to conquer that fear. So, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, at this point, I don't have any questions around that. But maybe, Reynaldo, is there a way I can get in touch with you somehow later after this? Is there like an email I can reach you on, or a phone number? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I can, there's my email address. What, I'm sorry, let me go to, I'll type it here. And then here's my direct number as well. I live here in Mountain View, so if you live around the corner, I'm more than happy to meet up with you guys as well. One-on-ones, always love to meet, not just through via video conferencing. I used to have an office in Santa Clara actually, and I put that away because it's more convenient for others to do this. When Zoom and video conferences came into play, it actually was more convenient for everybody. So, but if you also like to meet one-on-one, please feel free. I'm still looking basically for a spot. I know there's a friend of mine who has an office and offered simply to use his office for meetings as well for the meetup group, if you're in the meetup group. But it's just a matter of time for me just to set one up for everybody. But yeah, so there's my number right there. Absolutely, Deepak. Email me, call me.
Yep, thank you.
I'm happy to meet with you guys. And yeah, so this is simply just the inner core of it. I went straight to the core component. I know, of course, it takes time as well to the coaching part. I'm NLP certified, meaning it's in neuro-linguistic programming because I really got into the human behavior after I lost a lot of money in 2003, and I just really need to know more about myself. And there's a lot of things going on in terms of my belief systems, made money, lost money, a lot of money, lost money, and then last year I also had a big setback. Then I have to go back and I have to get back to my coaching as well. So I also have a coach. Actually multiple coaches, also practitioners, which is awesome because it's a good coaching environment where we help each other out too. So yeah, there's being a full-time trader. For those of you who don't know me, I've been trading since 1996. It's my 23rd year. Full-time though since 2002, so 17 years. So now I also have 2 kids. My other love and passion is creating a program for anti-bullying for self-defense for schools actually, and training athletes. Simply, it's just like I said, it's a different manifestation because everything is about the mental component. So by training athletes and also training kids and going through the mental component or the awareness and just being kind to oneself, being kind to others, to protect oneself. That's for me is also, it gives me the big satisfaction. Trading is a love, it's a passion, and sports is also a love and a passion. So they are all connected, and hence, if we can be aware about ourselves and the awareness of thoughts, like I was telling Mandeep earlier, a really good book, The Power of Now. I love Tali's philosophy, and Tal also got it from another philosophy, right? But I believe everything the same. It's a universal law. Once you have that universal law, you can grasp that concept, and you're being aware of those thoughts. Yeah, you can see a different light. And if you can get rid of those expectation of winning, expectation of being the best, and so forth. Yes, we're always being the best. We are the best. But if we can get rid of any form of expectation and just see things the way they are, then you'll be able to create a proper that's what I'm looking for. A proper, like saying in trading, is proper conclusion whether we got to get in or not to get in. Okay, so that's it. And with supporting your claim with the risk, risk management is, in my opinion, is very important. I think that's the most important with the whole component technical analysis. So if you can manage your risk, even if you have not much of a good technical system or a trading system, but you can control your risk, smaller losses with bigger wins, you'll still make money in the end. Because at the end of the day, we're here to all make money, right? It's just a matter of knowing when to stop as well. And once again, it's about the awareness. All right, so that's part of the session today. Thank you very much for coming in. If you have any questions, please feel free. I recorded the session, so it'll be posted on the blog, and you can read it and you can watch it again. Thank you, Mandeep. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Jared. If you have any questions, like I said, call me or email.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Reynaldo.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Ray.
Yeah, if you
See
have
ya.
any topics that you want to discuss, email me as well, and we'll do it in the webinar component. Bye, guys. See you later.
See ya.